G'day everyone and welcome back from our big long 4-week holiday.
Woohoo!
Did you enjoy yourself, Gary, having a bit of a break?
Yeah, had a break. Broke a few trees and broke a few this and broke a few that. Had a little bit of wind down here. But yeah, we might go through that in a little bit more depth later.
Alright, we've got a lot of news coming up and a lot of products to show you, so we'll be back very soon. G'day, he's Gary.
And he's Shane.
And you're watching ECITV.
You certainly are. Enjoy.
Okay, welcome back everyone. Yeah, sorry about the skipping a episode, but we had a bit of a situation down here in Victoria, which you might have heard about. A few trees down and a bit of power missing and a bit of carnage and phones and internet and cut off from civilization. So
you were actually cut off, weren't you? There's trees across the road.
We were cut off. We had trees down on our property as well, and a bit of damage to a bit of equipment, and yeah, no phones for a couple of days or internet, and no power for 6 days.
Wow. So you fall just short of that $1,600 government grant they were going to do.
Yeah. So be it. But yeah, so that was the reason we missed out on last week, last fortnight, unfortunately. So we're now kicking off with episode 41. Is it 41.2 or 41? Or, yeah.
It's just a bonus double episode, basically, isn't it? 41 and 42.
We just left you alone last fortnight to have a bit of a peace and quiet without our two ugly heads.
Hopefully your ears have stopped bleeding, just to start all over again. So ECI is back in full swing, so everything's going strong?
Yeah, all good. Yeah, everything's been repaired and back up and running, and phone lines are connected, and trees have even been cut up and carted away. So a little bit of building repairs to be done. You
didn't keep any of the wood for firewood?
Yeah, a little bit, but yeah, I've got ample firewood on the property. But we did have a little bit of carnage during it, though, which is a bit of a sideline, nothing to do with BMX. But yeah, 2 weeks after the episode of the trees and everything down, we went to tidy up, and there was a couple of trailers and everything squashed with trees. And once the tree loppers cut the trees off, we went to move the trailer, and there was a poor little wombat sitting under one of the trailers that was still alive after 2 weeks of being trapped. But yeah, we shot him off to the Hillsville Sanctuary, and yeah, we'll wait and see what happens there. But yeah, it just goes to show it affects a lot of people, wildlife and everything. So yeah, it was a bit sad seeing this poor little guy who'd been stuck there for 2 weeks and we didn't even realise.
2 weeks is a long time without some love.
Yeah, I don't even know what he did there. That's no food, no water.
Wow.
Gee, I don't think I'd last 2 hours. But anyway, let's get back to BMX.
All right, back to BMX. So we've got quite a bit of news to catch up on. So we'll get straight into it. Mac Components had released an updated version of their G1 grips. Did you get a chance to take a look
Haven't
at those?
had a look at those.
Haven't had a look.
No.
So they've got a new rubber compound. They've integrated the end cap rather than a push-in end cap that they used to have, and they're available in Pro 135mm and 104mm for mini sizes as well. So we'll pop up an image there and provide you a link in our description. 135
is fairly short for a pro grip, isn't it?
No, 135 is about standard.
Is it?
I mean,
okay.
I run
we obviously just sell long pro grips because we do 140.
Yeah, I think 143 is also like an XL, I guess, which is what I prefer. But yeah, 135 is about standard.
What about
the grips? On Ultra, I must have got bored because I've written a whole lot of different articles over the 4 weeks.
I must admit, you do. I do notice when you're a little bit bored because next minute these pages and pages of different things come up on Ultra.
So I wrote an article about how handlebars are basically constructed with rise and width and upsweep and backsweep, just explaining what those were because I've had a few people that are newbies that are like, oh, handlebars are handlebars. Well, actually they're not. And you know because you stock 100 different combinations of handlebars.
Yeah, and even you know, you can turn around and say, oh, you know, you're like a flat bar, but you know, there's so many variations in flat bars these days that it was a really good article. We shared it on our social media because once I did read through it, it made a lot of sense and definitely clarifies a lot of things in regards to bars, even the simple things of how to read a bar height and everything like that is fantastic. So
yeah, and while I was bored, I went through some old hard drives and found a 2007 interview that I did with Bubba Harris, who was at the time, he'd just completed his third ABA, ABA it was called at the time, BMX series champion in AA. So he was going for a 4-peat, but that was just prior to his massive accident in China, and kind of brought him to a bit of a standstill, really, didn't it? Made him miss out on the Olympics and everything else. But it was a good interview. Went for about 20 minutes. Did you get a chance to watch that one? I'm always scared to ask.
No. You need to send me a list before we... Come on, I'll read your article on Handlebars.
But yeah, he came up to the BSX compound. He was riding around a bit, so there was a little bit of footage from him riding around. Being an American, they don't have to wear helmets, so he didn't bring one with him. So it was unusual watching someone in Australia riding around a track without a helmet on, jumping willy-nilly.
I don't think I was there that day, but I do remember him being there.
Yeah, no, I don't think you were.
Yeah.
So also the Australian Elite World Championship team has been announced, and it's interesting to see some of the names in there. No massive surprises. I kind of thought that there were some guys who were quite deserving at the National Series races and seemed to have done what they needed to do, like Max Cairns. He took, a win and second place in the series where they were actually picking them from.
Yep.
And didn't get a mention in this list, but the guys that did get a mention, obviously well deserved. So there was Jack Davis, Anthony Dean, Izaac Kennedy, Matt Kraveskis and Josh McLean in the elite men. In the elite women, there's Tyres, Sakakibara and Lauren Reynolds, which is also our Olympic team. And the junior elite men was Jesse Asmus and Jordan Callum. So that doesn't guarantee that these guys are actually going, because I think they have to go off their own back to get over there. But this is actually basically our national nominations for these riders, for these classes.
Good to see Victoria represented so well.
I was thinking that. Normally we do get, one or two in there. But
we've got some quality riders down here. It's amazing that out of that full list that there's not one Victorian.
Yeah, I'm sure it's hard to choose, a limited number of riders when the quality of the class is so deep. You got, I don't know where to start, but Tahiko would have been a name that come to mind. I mean, he's probably been a little bit off consistency, but he's still quite fast for a Victorian. Oh, Josh McLean, it says Queensland here, but he's a Knox member. So... maybe you call him Victorian. We'll claim him.
We'll claim him. Yeah, a Victorian that's registered in Queensland and over in America.
Yeah, he lives in America. And another thing I did while I was bored, I've updated the BMX Ultra gear calculator and the reverse lookup calculator. Yeah, again. So Tioga sent some 24-inch Fastr tyres. So these are prototypes. I believe the tyres will be released to the public in a couple of months. So I figured I need to sort out what gearing I'm going to use when I put these on the bike. So you'll also have that moving forward. And I've also updated the reverse gear calculator. So the reverse gear calculator is for the real propeller heads and the factory dads and mums out there. So if you know what your rollout or your gear inch is, it allows you to work backwards based on your tyre range and your gear range to what combination you'll need to come up with that gear inches. So, it's a real propeller head calculator.
It is,
but it gets a lot of traction.
George Costa would love to read that. He probably doesn't agree with it, but he'd love to read it.
He probably would.
Yeah.
And it has Renan gear charts in it as well. So it's got decimal gears. So he probably would like it. So that's all been updated. Make sure you go to bmxultra.com and check those out if you're interested in having a look. So another article that's on Ultra that you may or may not have read was 5 affordable upgrades for your BMX racing bike.
No.
You didn't read that one?
No. I've been a bit busy.
Busy?
I mean, you can't read much without power.
Throwing trees at wombats.
Yeah. It's been a bad couple of weeks.
I should have printed them off and sent them in the mail.
Yeah, I could have read them in 2 months' time when they turned up.
So have a look at that one if you're interested. It's mainly aimed at sort of beginner to intermediate riders. Obviously, once you get to a certain level, you know exactly what you need to do with your bike to make it faster and better. But it goes into detail with grips, tyres, brakes, your drivetrain and pedals. So if you're interested in that, check that out on bmxultra.com. And something I put up yesterday.
Big news.
So Gary was calling me, what are you up to? Oh, nothing, I'm just trying to come up with an article. And I decided to go for something that breaks down the Australian BMX team for the Olympics over the past 3 Olympics, and including the riders from this one. So up on bmxultra.com, we've got this article. It gives you all the results from all the riders. You didn't read this one?
No.
So it gives you all the results from all the riders, their times and stuff like that. So, and it sort of gives a breakdown on how each of the riders went at that particular Olympic event. So I really enjoyed putting that together, and I'm sure when Gary finds the time, he'll enjoy reading it.
Certainly will. When things calm down a little bit here.
Another thing that's happened in the past 4 weeks is the guys from CTD Industries have celebrated their first birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, keep going.
No, it's okay, that's enough.
We could have got a cake and a candle.
I should have, actually. Should we? A little cake with a single candle in it. Yeah.
So to Grant and Craig, well done.
Good on you, fellas.
Very difficult getting distro and even I think they sell retail as well up off the ground. So to stick at it for 12 months without getting terribly frustrated. I mean, you can see what it's done to Gary after, 25 years?
Yeah, I'm only 32. Have a look at me.
And they did celebrate with releasing a new website after that 12 months as well. So good to see them going full steam ahead. We did talk about the Red Bull Pump Track World Championship qualifier in our last show, and we hadn't heard much information. So Zoe Noonan, who has previously sent in a photo of her bike in the past for Show Us Your Bike, she sent in some details for us as well, but we had a lot to cover, so we didn't get too much into that. But thanks, Zoe, for keeping us up to date. It was great to see your photos.
It's one of those events that we really did want to go to, but unfortunately double booked.
We hear stories of there's some bigger events coming up pump track wise. Not Crankworks, Sea Otter is coming up in Canberra.
Yep.
And there's a Red Bull thing coming up in New South Wales that Glenn was talking to me about during the week. So there may be other bigger...
Road trip.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye
Set up for it?
Yeah. I think it's about time for you to do some talking.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah.
I was enjoying it. I was enjoying all this. I don't even know where you're up to.
Josh McLean.
Oh, Josh McLean. Yeah, we did notice some posts popping up on social media. Josh McLean's actually killing it over there in America and won all 3 days at Rockford. So he's now sitting 3rd in the USA BMX Championships. So that's an incredible feat.
Well, Rockford's a real power track. I don't know if you've checked it out.
No.
Really kind of flat and flat out fast. So I actually expected to see more from Jack Davis there, given it was kind of more like a Sydney style track.
Oh, yeah.
But it was good to see, Josh killing it.
Do so well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, incredible.
And he's been, going in leaps and bounds. I think that the final heat win that he had at the Grands has kind of lit a fire under him, really.
Mm. Well, when you consider the calibre of riders in America, and he's sitting 3rd behind Connor and Joris. So, I mean, that's the sort of level that he's riding at. That's incredible.
It reminds me kind of Kalen Young's 2008 season. The Olympic season, everyone else is focused on the Olympics, and he went on to win the, at the time was ABA series in 2008. So maybe this is going to be Josh's here. Maybe while Joris and Connor are out doing their Olympic thing, he might swoop in and take the win.
Could be. Hopefully he does.
So also at Rockford this weekend was Jack Davis. So we talked to him a fair bit in the past.
Yep.
And he started off slowly on the weekend and finished with a podium, didn't he? So he got a first in the B final.
B final on the first day,
Which really isn't that slow when you think about it.
No, not really. Finish 9th in a class like that, virtually.
And I think he got a 5th or a 6th, was it? No, I think it might have been an 8th on the second day.
And then 3rd on the 3rd day. Yeah, podium on the 3rd day.
So
and got the whole shot award.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, he got the whole shot award.
Wow.
Quick 100 US.
Oh, nice.
Mm.
We're hoping to catch up with Jack, I'd say regularly, but we can't promise anything. So we'll catch up with Jack soon and talk to him about how things are going for him in his 6-month stay over there. So he's probably only about a month into it now.
Biggest problem will probably getting him off the interview. He likes to talk.
Just sit back and listen to him.
He does like to talk. A lovely guy.
Izaac Kennedy also did really well at the 4th round of the World Cup in Colombia about 4 weeks ago, I think it was, finishing up with a 4th place. And he also did that coming off an operation for wrist.
Wrist, yeah.
So,
which not too many people knew about, really.
No, he kept it quiet, that's for sure.
Mm.
And he did say he was struggling a little bit with it, and I think I saw a photo of him with ice on it, I think after the first day of racing. So it'll be nice to see Izaac get back into the full swing now that all the pressure's off as far as Olympic selection's gone.
And everything,
So talk about
Olympic
Olympics.
teams.
Do you read out our team from Australia?
Oh, you can. You're
I can.
on a roll, yeah.
I'm on a roll.
Yeah.
You can't shut me up, so you may as well not try.
Otherwise you'll sook.
I'm going to sook anyway. It gives me a chance to rest my head on your shoulder.
That's it.
So the Australian Olympic team is Lauren Reynolds, who's actually competing in her 3rd Olympics.
Fantastic.
Anthony Dean, who's
Awesome.
at his 2nd, but he did go to, London in 2012 as a reserve. So he did get to ride the track, but he didn't get to race. It wasn't needed to be called up. And Sakakibara is finally getting into her 1st Olympics, so it'll be interesting to see how she does.
Brilliant to watch her.
So that's our Australian Olympic team. Thankfully, that's all final. But it's interesting to see it's actually a lot smaller team than what we've had in the past.
Such a small team. It makes it so hard when you've got the depth that we've got in Australia.
Yeah, so it's all about qualifying as a country, and for whatever reason, we didn't do particularly well at that this time around. I'm sure Oz Cycling or whoever it is that governs our qualifications will take a look at that and hopefully open up some more positions.
Hopefully rectify it.
In the next 3 years.
Yeah.
So next weekend we have the round 3 and 4 of the Oz Cycling National Series up in Orang. It might be a bit quiet on the Victorians fronts. We're not going up.
Good. Andrew Jackson's going up.
Okay.
But yeah, not too many other riders going up. And with the small outbreak they've got in Queensland at the moment, it might make it a little bit more restricted.
I didn't notice that. I did see New South Wales. It's almost like you have to go outback Australia to get up to Queensland.
I think that's the plan, really.
Right.
I think, they're driving straight through New South Wales without stopping. Yeah. So, but yeah, they've got a couple of cases in Queensland, so who knows what's going to happen now.
So we'll have to skip that one, unfortunately, and hope to get to another national round with the cameras and do our thing somewhere a bit further down the line, maybe Tassie.
Tassie's always good.
Yeah. Talk about Tassie. Launceston will host the 2022 Australian Championships in November next year. So it'll be good to finally get down there after being all set to go.
Let's hope it's on. Yeah, let's hope it doesn't get interrupted again.
Well, at least it's November. Hopefully by then there'll be a new normal, and we'll pretty much be able to work around any major disasters.
It might be another little Tassie trip coming up shortly too. That's a little bit on the quiet. A little bit of.
Must be quiet. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, it's a couple of the guys are putting together a little bit of an expedition down to Tassie. So yeah, we'll release a bit more information once it's all confirmed. But it could be something along the lines of riding all the way to Tassie.
Not across the water.
Nah, but yeah, it's just as good. So anyway, we'll let you know more as we get a bit more information on it.
All right, I'll get you to start the show and tell so I can have a drink. You got quite a bit of product there, Gary.
I've got a little bit that we've broken out today just to show you. There's some new thermoplastic pedals from Insight, which have got metal pins, one seal bearing and a bush. They come in a multitude of 6 colours, and weight-wise, did I put it on there?
Doesn't look like... Oh, yeah, 360 grams.
360 grams. So it seems like there's quite a few that are going over to that are utilising platform pedals and going onto the plastic ones for weight saving with the metal pins. So these are only just new and just in recently. So.
Are they weight limited?
No, they're not. No. Well, you want to give them a try? You're a platform.
I'm a platform
but
guy.
Your platform's like this big on your pedals.
You know what I say about big feet, don't you?
You can try and weld them together or something.
Pedals? Oh, that's it. Just use super glue as plastic.
That's it. Yeah, easy. So yeah, they're in at the moment. Obviously 9/16 only. But
so before you get away from that, you said there's a bush. So is there bearings at both ends and a bush in the middle? Is that
no, a single bearing and a bush.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do bring out another version, which is 2 bushes, to actually make it a little bit narrower. But we're not bringing those in at this stage.
Yeah.
They're not even available at this stage. It's just something that's on the drawing board.
Okay.
So. There's also a new hub out from Answer BMX, which is a 20mm front disc front hub. I've been playing around with mountain bike stuff lately. And what we didn't even realise is that it's actually machined out in the centre here. I've been looking at this for a few days and just thought it was a little bit of CNCing, but it actually does go right through, so you can see the internal axle. But yeah, they're available now, and they actually come with a 20mm through front axle with a number of spaces, an Answer specific one. So they're available now in 36 hole only.
It's a very tidy axle. Can you buy them separately?
Yeah, we've got those separate. Yeah, it is a very good one. And like I said, it comes with quite a few spaces. So it's a neat little one. I think it's black only. I don't think they're available in colours. We do have coloured ones in XS brand, but the Answer ones are just in black. Another little thing that could come in handy is a little disc adapter or disc mount adapter. So it's a plate that goes onto your disc mount that's specific to chase bicycles or RSP4 frames or ACT frames. So it suits the 11 disc mount. But basically what it is if you're running a 120mm rotor and you find that everything's a little bit too compact and the brake might be fouling up a little bit on the spokes or anything like that, it's a little converter, so you can run a 140mm disc without having to change the actual adapter on the bike. You can just buy this little spacer and it spaces it up 20mm to suit a 140mm rotor. So they're available now. They just come as a little spacer and extended bolts. That's what's in that bag. So
was it Chase that were going to make an adapter for a 99mm rotor, or was that somebody else? I'm getting confused.
No, that was
Answer?
Actually, I had a feeling that it was Stay Strong. Stay Strong were talking about a 99mm rotor, but it just because BMX is such a tight, compact thing that unless you get a very, very narrow caliper, it tends to foul up on the spokes once you compress that down too much. So, but yeah, so that's it for a little bit of new products. We do have a couple of jerseys that have come in, which I thought I'd show off. We haven't got these up on the side or anything, but the Connor Fields Chase jerseys. That's probably the best way to look at it because you can't see my face. But yeah, these are just straight to the pool room. These are just straight to the pool room. But they are available, so if anyone's interested, I can organise them for you. They come in any size you like, as long as it's XXL. And and yeah, so for all you collectors out there, if you are interested, give us a yell and I'll grab some for you.
In case you missed it earlier, we got a prototype Fastr X cruiser tyre. And I'll be taking that for a bit of a test run. And production should be a couple of months, but COVID, so who knows.
So you only got the one tyre?
No, I got the other one, but I figured I'd only bring one.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You got enough spare tyres.
Around here, that's COVID.
COVID tyres. So that's probably us in a nutshell. That that was shit.
Don't do that again.
Okay.
That is us for this episode. So I think we can get back to regular programming every 2 weeks, can't we?
Yeah.
If people aren't sick of us already.
Yeah, as long as there's no more natural disasters, we should be all good. So
You got no more wombats to wipe out.
oh, there's always wombats. I've got so many of them here. Well, one less now, but anyway, yeah. So that's it for this week's show. So hopefully you enjoyed it, and it's good to be back. And yeah, catch up again soon.
Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you later.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I don't think we forgot anything.
Otherwise, next week. Press the foot.
It doesn't say it on that one. That's
No, it counts up, but
that's what scared me. I'm going to do that one week. You realise that? We're going to go through all this.
we've got 2 cameras.
Going to go through all this and then go, holy, ooh. Going to hang on. That's we didn't talk about our microphones. We didn't talk about our microphones.